Okie dokie. Hello, hello. Welcome to day 3 of the Allowing Challenge. This has been my favorite contents by far so far. I hope you're enjoying it too. I'm so excited to talk about the topic for today, which is allowing more joy into your life. And let me just kind of recap really briefly what we've covered so far. So the first day, day 1, we talked about the instrument panel or the emotional guidance scale. So if you haven't printed that out yet, I strongly encourage you to get very familiar with that chart. Throughout the day, just ask yourself, how am I feeling now? How am I feeling on this particular topic? How am I just feeling throughout the day? And as you get more familiar with how you're feeling, and you can locate on that emotional guidance scale where you are, it's going to be a lot easier for you to be able to rise in vibration, to be able to start to focus on feeling better without being so far away that like the vibration is so out of reach that it's too much of a jump, right? So for example, if you're at a place of frustration, being in a place of bliss, which is at the top of the scale, is so far away that when you try to reach that state, it's just going to feel really bad because you're so far apart from that it's just too much of a jump. But you can look at that emotional guidance scale and say, okay, well, from frustration, what's right above frustration? Well, that's allowing, that's being content. So can I just allow where I am? Can I just allow these feelings to be? And notice that starts to feel better. And then you work yourself up through the emotional guidance scale. The great thing about being consciously aware of where you are is that when you let go of resistance and you become at that midline, at that level where you're allowing yourself to just be, when there is no resistance, you're allowing grace to come in and help you to elevate to those higher levels naturally. So it doesn't even require any effort on your part, right? Your job is to get to that point. Your job is to let go of the resistance, get out of the way, and then allow your source, God, grace to guide you to feeling even better and closer to being in that state of allowing even more, right? So when you're above that midline, you're just in a state of allowing. You'll notice things really just start to change effortlessly. And then the closer that you get to those higher states, the faster those miracles actually happen. So that was day 1. Day 2 was yesterday, and we talked about allowing more love into your life. Love is at the top of that emotional guidance scale. And when you're in a state of love, you're in a state of appreciation, you are in that moment allowing and creating more of what it is that you love, more to appreciate. So if you're appreciating the little that you do have, then you're allowing in that moment even more to come into your life. If you're noticing the things that you love and that you appreciate, then you're in a vibration that will reflect more back to you in order to love. We talked about building walls around your heart to protect yourself, to prevent yourself from feeling pain and hurt, because there are things and events and people and situations in our past that caused us pain. And so our natural reaction was to build this wall. The problem with that is that when you block yourself you try to prevent yourself from being hurt again, you actually block yourself from giving and receiving love, which is our natural state, right? The reason why we were born was to give and to receive love. So when we close off our heart, it hurts. And so in yesterday's lesson, we talked more about just allowing your heart to open, giving and receiving love, and breaking down those walls. Today, our topic is around allowing more joy. And joy is really our ultimate goal. We want to be in a state of joy and happiness because it's so easy, and we're just like, it's like we're flowing downstream towards everything that we want when we're in a state of joy. But as we start to get older, so like when we're kids, being happy is very easy. You hear kids laughing all the time. But we've like the older we get, the easier it is for us to shut off that joy. We've been told to be quiet. We've been told to keep it down. We've been told to focus on what it is that we're trying to do. And we feel like hard work and effort is actually commendable. It's rewardable. And when we're suffering, and if we put a lot of pain and hard work into what it is that we're doing, then it is, there should be a bigger payoff than actually if we're just having fun and being joyful. But it's actually the exact opposite. When we're in a state of joy, then we're in these high vibrations where we're allowing more creativity, more inspiration to flow, and then our time actually gets multiplied. So the things that may have felt like a lot of work become very easy. The things that took a lot of time happen very quickly because we're in that state of flow, right? So we do a lot of complaining. Like, we've been conditioned to look for the things that aren't working, and then we complain about them, and we stay in a state of unhappiness. And I think that, like, for me at least, when I'm stuck in this like human mentality that if I'm unhappy and if I complain about it, well, first of all, people will feel sorry for me, right? And I know that sounds silly when it comes out of my mouth, but I guarantee you, if you think about when you complain to other people, what is your purpose for complaining? Because you want their sympathy as well, right? And so, but what we focus on expands. And so, do you want to be happy, or do you want to be right? Do you want to be happy, or do you want people to feel sorry for you? Because you can't have both. So if you are complaining, then in that moment, you are not in a state of joy, right? If you're finding fault in other people, if you're trying to blame somebody else, if you feel like when somebody else will change, then you can be happy, then in that moment, you are actually preventing yourself from being in your joy spot, right? And so we also feel like if we're happy, things aren't going to change. Can you think about a time where if you're just grateful, if you're just happy, if you're content with where you are in your life, that your mind tries to convince you, well, if you're just happy with what you have, you're never going to get more. This happens in relationships too. I know when when I was younger, I was in a relationship where he pointed out to me one time, and I'll never forget this. He said, "When I'm happy, you're unhappy. And the only time that you try to lift me up is when I'm unhappy." And I noticed that if I got really honest with myself, that was true. For some reason, when he was happy, I would try to bring him down because I wasn't happy myself. And I felt like misery loves company, I guess, right? And if I was just happy in that relationship, then nothing was going to change. And there was a lot that I wanted to change in that relationship. And this is applicable in any aspect of your life. If you're happy with a job that maybe you're not making enough money, or maybe if it's not your dream job, you want a different job, you feel like, well, if I'm just happy here and I'm just content, then I'll be stuck here forever, right? And the exact opposite is true, because our spiritual evolution says that when we have outgrown a certain situation, when we've learned everything that we need to learn, and when we've kind of squeezed all of the juice out of a particular experience, then we evolve. So if you're in a job that you don't particularly love, but if you can put all the love and joy and all of who you are into that job, and you spiritually evolve, you outgrow that job, then something better will come your way. That's how it works, right? So when we complain, when we commiserate, when we find fault in other people, we actually block our joy. And when you're blocking your joy, it should be your natural state, but we've conditioned ourselves out of it, then you're not in that state of allowing. All right, so solutions are, I have 3, do I have 3 or 4? I have 4 different solutions for you. Number 1 is look for reasons to be happy. If you can't find something to be happy with something that's right in front of you, like if there's something that you don't like, then just focus on something else that you do like. Or try to find something about that you do like. It really doesn't matter if there's a really big challenging situation that you're going through that you're having a really hard time finding anything positive about, then find something else. Just distract yourself. This doesn't have to be hard work. And ultimately, it shouldn't be hard work. And I am probably the first one to say, like, I try to make this, when I'm in my small self, when I'm in my ego, I make it difficult too. But when I just stand back and I look at the way that life is supposed to be, God assists us, grace assists us, source assists us in like doing all of the heavy work. Our part is literally to find joy in everything, to find reasons to love, to get out of the way. So if we're trying really hard to find something that we like about a situation or a person that we just can't stand, when it feels like too much work, just put your attention on something else entirely different. When there's just one thing that you can focus on about a person that you maybe can't stand, or somebody who you love, but there's a lot about them that is easier for you to find fault in, just focus on that one thing. What you focus on expands, and what you ignore will eventually just fade away from your experience. It does work that way, and it is that easy. So also make happiness your goal. Happiness is always your goal, but it's not always where you are. So when you just allow if you're sad, ultimately your goal is to be happy again, but it's not you don't want to deny that sadness. You want to just allow wherever you are, allow those feelings to move, and make your goal eventually happiness, right? And then number 3, this one's really important, is just to notice how you're feeling, notice what's going on around you, notice the thoughts that you're thinking. When you notice the thought that you're thinking, when you catch yourself and it's a thought that doesn't serve you, then just place your gentle attention on that as a witness, as like an outside observer saying, well, that was an interesting thought. I notice that when I think these thoughts, I feel a certain way, and that thought doesn't serve me, right? So you're just starting to witness your thoughts. And then number 4 is when you can change your story. So when you're witnessing a certain thought that doesn't feel good, just noticing that thought and understanding that there's no truth behind that thought. It's only a thought that you've been fed from somebody else, right? Even if it feels true, even if it feels real, even if everybody else on the planet would agree with you, right? If it doesn't feel good, it's time to change the story. So a consistent practice is number 1, to watch and to notice your thoughts. And number 4, or step number 2, is to change the story, right? So let me just go over those steps again, because I think I got a little confused with the numbers. Number 1 is to look for reasons to be happy. Number 2 is to make happiness your goal. Number 3 is just watch or observe the thoughts that you're thinking and the way that you feel. And number 4 is to change your story whenever possible. If you feel that you're stuck in that story and you just can't find anything higher to reach for, you just can't think of a better story, let the story go completely and just notice how you feel. So that is day 3 for you, allowing more joy into your experience and into your life. I would love to hear your comments. Please comment on this video and let me know how you can apply this into your life. Where is a situation that you are ready and willing to invite more joy into your experience? Not only so that you can change that experience, but more importantly, just so that you can feel better now. Ultimately, that is your goal. Your goal is to feel better now. And because you start to feel better, and because you start to shift the inner vibration of who you are and who you be, then the world around you starts to change. You don't have to worry about doing that. That just happens because the world reflects back to you how you're feeling. When that changes, when that is your goal, then the world around you will reflect back to you all of that love and all of that joy that you've been generating and creating in your life. So I hope that you got as much value out of this as I did in delivering it. I love you so much, and I will see you guys tomorrow for day 4. Bye.